Hello, the Liberty Cause here. I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as I can. Actually sat down a few days ago with Brandy White, and we went through this, and it turned out to be an hour and a half long video. I'm going to try and cut this down as quickly as I can. Want to talk about this case against Jane Shang. So we're looking here at the first page of the pretrial intervention contract. So Jane Shang got charged by FDLE, and we're going to pop down here real quick and go to the charges. Florida Department of Law Enforcement has completed a comprehensive investigation into the election laws violations committed by Jane K. Shang. Special Agent Silberstein believes that probable cause has been established that on the following dates and locations, Shang violated the below listed felony offenses. Okay, I want to say that again for anybody out there that is putting out false information saying that not all of these are felonies. Shang violated the below listed felony offenses. Not my words, the words of Special Agent Silberstein from FDLE. So we have 4 counts of Florida Statute 104.11, false swearing, submission of false voter registration information. 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 counts, Florida Statute 104.15, unqualified electors willfully voting. Basically what that means is that the district that she voted in, due to using City Hall as her address, was not the district that she should have voted in if she was using Mountain Ash Way as her proper address. So she was voting in District 1. She should have been voting, only qualified to vote in Deltona District 3. Okay? So, again, for all those folks out there that are, claiming that it's 3 felonies and 3 misdemeanors or whatever, right here is the probable cause statement from FDLE. Shang violated the below listed felony offenses. And there are 6 of them. None of these say misdemeanor. The other thing that is important here to understand is this on June 17th, 2015 at Deltona City Hall, 2345 Providence Boulevard, Deltona, Florida, in Volusia County, Florida. Shang did falsely swear under oath while applying for her driver's license and voter registration that her residential address was 2345 Providence Boulevard, Deltona, Florida, Deltona City Hall, when her actual residence was 771 Mountain Ash Way, Deltona, Florida, in violation of Florida Statute 1.04.011, false swearing, submission of false voter registration information. However, Special Agent Silberstein notes that the statute of limitations has expired on this count. Had the statute of limitations not expired, there would have been 7 felony counts. So let's take a quick look at the deal she got. So for 6 felony charges that were brought forth by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Now, mind you, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement works under the executive branch. They work under the governor's office, under the Department of State. So, your state attorney, R.J. Larizzar, in and for the 7th Judicial Court or Circuit of Florida, decided that with 6 felony counts, that she would get the said violation will be deferred for a period of 12 months from this date, provided you abide by the following conditions. And we're going to go through these very quickly. You shall refrain from violation of any law. In the event of a criminal arrest while on the program, you are subject to automatic dismissal, which means that, look, people, we know this is some dirty dealing. This is some very underhanded, dirty dealing, somebody doing favors. There is a lot of speculation right now as to where this leads back to. We don't have any proof, but I am not at all afraid to ask the question. And again, I'm simply asking a question. I am not making an accusation, but the one person that would have a lot to lose in this if Shang went down, that is in a position to sway the state attorney, would be House of Representative member David Santiago. It's just an opinion. I have no proof of this, but when you think about it, I mean, okay, David Santiago managed to sway the entire House of Representatives and the Florida Senate unanimously to vote to give Halifax Hospital special favors. Just saying. You think about it, it's up to you. If you put the puzzle pieces together, you connect the dots, and you come up with the same hypothesis, feel free. He's your state representative. Feel free. Give him a call. Let him know what you think. Ask him. Refrain from violation of any law no later than the 5th day of each month at the direction of your pretrial intervention officer. You will make a full and truthful report to your officer on the form provided for that purpose. You shall maintain employment, which, of course, with our city commission being the joke that they are and the frauds and as corrupt as they are, she'll maintain her employment. Or you can pursue a course of study as a full-time student. Advise your employer of your pretrial supervision, current charges, or provide a current pay stub for verification. Support your dependents to the best of your ability. You shall immediately inform the pretrial intervention officer of any change in residence, employment, or arrest. So I guess if she moves from City Hall to her actual address at Mountain Ash Way, she has to let her pretrial intervention officer know. You will allow an investigation of your personal background and make yourself available for the services of the pretrial intervention program. You shall also answer truthfully all inquiries by your pretrial intervention officer and allow the officer to visit your home, employment, school, or elsewhere and carry out all instructions. You will pay to the state of Florida at the rate of $50 per month toward the cost of your supervision. Now, this sounds a lot like probation, people. This is what probation sounds like. You pay a monthly fee for probation, plus a 4% administrative processing fee in accordance with Florida Statute 945.31 and 948.09. You will not use intoxicants to excess and will be required to submit to your analysis as directed by your pretrial intervention officer. I think we all know that Jane Shang is never going to be made to take a piss test. Because if she's getting these kind of favors to begin with, she's getting off 6 felonies. We've already looked at this. 6 felony charges brought to the state attorney, who's obviously dirty. I mean, come on. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that there was corruption and collusion going on here. They're not going to make her take a piss test. You shall pay to the Department of Corrections a $2 per month surcharge fee. You shall pay a $1 per month fee for each month under supervision to be dispersed to First Step, Inc., a nonprofit organization in accordance with Florida Statute 948.02. You shall pay a mandatory one-time drug fee of $30 as directed by your pretrial intervention officer. You shall pay a total of $100 for cost of prosecution as directed by your officer. What prosecution? They deferred her prosecution, but yet it says you shall pay $100 for the cost of prosecution, which has been deferred. Now, funny, there is no record at all of a judge signing off on this or this plea deal taking place in open court. You shall pay law enforcement investigative costs in the amount of $5,178.83 to be paid to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So basically, she has to pay the cost of the investigation, the $5,000. must perform 100 hours of community service. Now, there's also buried in here the option that that 100 hours of community service, she can buy that out at $10 an hour. So that's another $1,000. You better believe she's going to buy that out. And she's not going to go do a day of community service. Her job is community service, and she doesn't do that now. 12-month supervision, 100 hours community service, $100 cost of prosecution. We cannot find a record of a prosecution. We've talked to the Clerk of the Courts, no record. We've called the Department of Corrections, no record. They see that something happened, but they have no record of this contract. And do not kid yourself. This is a contract. Pretrial intervention contract. How many of you out there think that if you got hit with 6 felony charges, you would get this kind of contract? Pay restitution in the amount of non-applicable. And there's one other thing in here that's really important. Letter acknowledging actions and accepting responsibility. So remember that. We're gonna touch on that shortly. Letter acknowledging actions and accepting responsibility. It is understood that this agreement is a deferral of prosecution. If its terms are violated in any essential respect or if the conditions are not completed within 60 days prior to the termination date, the prosecution may be commenced. So she initials here, her defense counsel. This was signed off on Christopher G. Walker, Assistant State Attorney. Let me remind you that Christopher Walker works for you. If you have a problem with this, Christopher Walker works out of the Deltona office. He works for you. Call him and let him know you have a problem with this. You'll notice the date that this was signed off on was June 5th of 2019. Now, let's go back down here real quick and go to the bottom. The date that Special Agent Tedsilberstein signed off on his report was the 14th day of February 2019, and the date that it was received by, I've got that in here, it was received by the state attorney's office on the 20th. So here, 2/20/2019 at 9:30 in the morning, date time delivered. Case number OR 320014, delivered to the Southern Judicial Circuit Court. Now, this is the supposed case number from the state attorney's office, U90426. We've called the clerk's office. Brandy White actually went to the clerk's office. They have no record of this. It's not showing up on the clerk of the court page. They referred her to go to the state attorney's office. She decided she was going to go over to the state attorney's office. And I'm going to play this little video that she posted on Facebook earlier today of the reaction that she got when she went to the state attorney's office.
People, and let me tell you, I know they've worked here for a while because they were there when I came up here last year and previous times that I've come up here. So you would think they've seen it all. And she literally had to make some phone calls because she had never seen anything like it. And either did the lady next to her. So for those of you who say, I have this suspicion that, she was treated differently and that, she got away with these things. I don't think you're in any type of conspiracy theories or that you're that far off. I think you're probably pretty accurate. And it'll be interesting to see where exactly the state, aka us, we the people, what did we benefit from this? Because I haven't really seen anything yet. We didn't regain any type of public trust. She didn't have any real punishment. I mean, come on, let's all be realistic. A couple $1,000s is nothing.
Okay, so you heard what Brandy had to say. By the way, I am using that video of hers that she posted on Facebook with her express permission. I did get her permission to use this. So, in her, in Brandy's words, she said that when she went there, that they pulled up this case and they didn't know what to make of it. They'd never seen anything like it. And for anyone who is on Brandy's Facebook group, Deltona, a city on the move, question mark, you can go on there and you can see her comments and what she had to say and go watch the full video. I'm actually going to post her whole full video on my channel as well to get it out to a larger audience. Remember earlier, we talked about the fact that part of this contract is that she had to write a letter taking responsibility. This is her letter. When I planned to move to Deltona in 2015, I initially lived in a hotel in Lake Mary. Because the position of city manager sometimes can carry personal security and privacy risks, especially for a woman, I took steps to make confidential my home address and other information pursuant to Florida Statute 119.071, subparagraph 4, subparagraph F. Okay, that is absolutely not true. She did not take those steps. She admitted as such in a commission meeting. You can look that up. Had she taken those steps, she would have been eligible under the statute for an exemption. She did not take those steps. What she did, just as Mr. Silberstein found, was she falsified information. So does that sound like she's taking responsibility? What that sounds like is she's playing the victim card. I'm a victim here. Oh, I'm a woman. I'm already a victim, although nothing has happened. We're going to see the victim card again here shortly. That statutory provision exempts from inspection, copying, and release of the home address, telephone number, date of birth, and photographs of the current and former manager of any local government agencies in most situations. This would include in my position as city manager of Deltona. For that reason, I used the City Hall address on my driver's license since about June 2015, on or around the time I came to work for the City of Deltona. The Department of Motor Vehicles allows this. Again, we saw in Ted Silberstein's own writing that by getting her driver's license and voter registration, using Deltona City Hall as her address, that she committed an offense, a felony. Unfortunately, the statute of limitations had run out. But right here in this letter of acceptance and taking responsibility, the Department of Motor Vehicles allows this. She's lying. She's not taking responsibility. So she's already failing to hold up her part of this contract. She's in breach of contract just with this letter. As part of having the address of City Hall on my driver's license, I must have carried that over to my voter registration address. I acknowledge that was a mistake and oversight on my part, although not done willfully or intentionally. You know what? Let me tell you something. It is much easier to go and look up someone's voter's registration than it is their driver's license. You have to have access to a special state databases to get into a person's driver's license information. All you have to do is go on the Supervisor of Elections website to look up someone's voter registration information. She's lying again, although not done willfully or intentionally. I mistakenly erred. Okay, right there, that alone, just from a grammatic point of view, you can't mistakenly err. You either err or you don't. In not complying with the voter identification information, and for that I continue to sincerely apologize for that unintentional mistake and error. Again, playing the victim, never taking responsibility. When the personal error was brought to my attention, I immediately corrected the unintentional mistake. Yeah, when we posted our video and the News Journal posted their article that she had lied when she got her driver's license and her voter registration. So we're just going to hit on a couple more quick things here, and I've got another video that I want to share. This is just another copy of that. I want to get down to the so now we get down into the summary of events. January 14, 2019, state attorney requested FDLE conduct an investigation. This is after the State Department had originally looked at this and said there was no merit, and then we went back and pushed them, and we had to literally lay the case out for them. Thank you, Pajama Audits, for your assistance on that. But we had to literally lay the case out for them. And they looked at it again, and we have those emails, and they looked at it again and said, oh, yes, there is merit to this. This needs to be investigated. So here's the investigation. So basically, Special Agent Silberstein met with Lisa Llewis. He got all of the records that she had, showed she was registered to vote in Manatee County, where her registered address, that was from 2012 until 2015. Let's not forget, she was living in El Paso, Texas at the time from 2012 to 2015. Did she also register to vote in El Paso, Texas? Did she vote in El Paso, Texas? Did she vote by absentee ballot during 2012 and 2015 while she was living in El Paso in East Parish, Florida? Or Parish, Florida? These are questions that need to be answered. Did she vote in Florida with an absentee ballot in 2012 or 2015 through 2015 while she was in El Paso, Texas? So here it goes into her voting history. It talks about, and I know these documents are available, on Facebook. It talks about her voting history and basically her voting in the wrong district. Now this is what she had to sign when she went to vote. And it's a little electronic signature pad, and it's a great big laminated card. And, I, Jane K. Shang, am qualified elector in this election and registered voter of Volusia County, Florida. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I am the person so listed on the voter registration rolls of Volusia County and that I reside at the listed address. Sit on that one for a second. That I reside at the listed address. I understand that if I commit or attempt to commit fraud in connection with voting, vote a fraudulent ballot, or vote more than once in an election, I could be convicted of a felony of the third degree and both fined up to $5,000 and imprisoned for up to 5 years. 4 counts of this. 4 counts. That's 20 years and $20,000. I understand that my failure to sign this certificate invalidates my ballot. She signed it. She signed that she knew if she was committing fraud, she could be imprisoned for up to 5 years and a $5,000 fine. And what does she get? She gets a 12-month, we're going to sit on this and not prosecute you because you're special, or somebody else who is special came and asked us for a favor. Now, let's not forget that R.J. Larizzar, the state attorney, also is an elected representative. He works for us. R.J. Larizzar works for us, we the people. So if you don't like what you see here, if you're starting to see and connect the dots on your own, and you don't like what you see, pick up the phone and call your elected representative. Remind them of Article 1, Paragraph 5 of the Florida Constitution. Call Christopher Walker, the assistant state attorney who apparently came up with and signed off on this deal. So let's get back down here to, let's see. Let's get back down here. Interview with Jane Shang. Now, the most important thing here, and I'm just going to point this out. I'll go down here because I don't want to ever be accused of saying something that I don't show you. Joyce Rafferty, the city clerk, was also interviewed. And it says right here, conducted a voluntary sworn and recorded interview with Joyce Irene Kent Rafferty, city clerk. The interview was conducted in Rafferty's office inside the Deltona City Hall. Okay? This is important. Lee Lopez was also interviewed. The interview was conducted in Media Room 150B inside the Deltona City Hall. Now, let's go up to Jane Shang. Let's look at where Jane Shang's interview was held. The interview was conducted at the Deltona Veterans Memorial. John Mazarzik's pet project. So, anybody have any thoughts on why this interview would not be conducted in her office at City Hall, but would be conducted at John Mazarzik's little museum? Think about that. These are questions that need to be answered. Okay? So this just kind of goes into what she did in her previous jobs. Talks about her obtaining her Florida driver's license through the Flowmobile, which came to Deltona City Hall. And in here she even says there must have been a question of, do you want to register to vote? And I probably said yes. Probably said yes. But yet also in her testimony, we find out that she had not received her voter registration card. She called the Supervisor of Elections and asked them to mail her her voter registration card. Here, August 5th, 2015. Shang to the Supervisor of Elections requesting her voter registration card because she didn't get it. But here in her own sworn testimony, conducted a voluntary sworn and recorded interview. Sworn testimony. I probably said yes. Shang did not recall filling out any voter registration forms or oaths in which she swore that the address on her voter registration was her residential address. This was in June. In August, Shang wrote and signed a letter to the Supervisor of Elections stating she completed her voter registration application approximately 1 month earlier, but never received her voter registration card. Shang requested a replacement voter registration card be mailed to her at 2345 Providence Boulevard, Deltona City Hall. And even Mr. Silberstein says this belies Shang's statement. She did not reply or recall applying for her voter registration. Okay? This letter was obtained from the Supervisor of Elections and was entered as evidence. She goes on to talk about how, she really didn't read the card that she was swearing an oath that she was who she said she was and lived where she claimed to live. Said that if the records show that she signed, then she probably did, but she only vaguely remembered signing on the electronic signature pad. Now, let's not forget that Shang was an attorney. She knows how to answer these questions in an attorney fashion, where she's never really saying yes and she's never really saying no. Now, let's talk about the 2018 election. Shang stated that her better half, Alex Fulecki, now mind you, there's also a video of a commission meeting when Shang vehemently denies that Alex Fulecki is her better half or her boyfriend. She claims that he is just some 78-year-old man that had a stroke that she takes care of. So here she is, city manager of the largest city in Volusia County. We paid, by the way, the people of Deltona paid to bring Alex Fulecki to Deltona. You paid for his flight here, for them to ship his car here, his belongings here, put him up in a hotel. Okay? You paid for all that. People of Deltona, you paid for all that. So, but she says he's in a city commission meeting. She tells the city commission that he's not her boyfriend. Now, the reason she did this is because he had a report written on him for assaulting a lady and calling her quote unquote Hispanic trash. So of course Shang wanted to separate herself from Alex Fulecki at that time. But now she wants him to be her better half, okay? Stated that her better half, Alex Fulecki, who lives with her at her actual residence, was with her when they went to vote in the election that Fulecki voted to. Shang indicated that during the 2018 election, it was and pay very close attention, it was an aggressive, unpleasant atmosphere. Critics of hers were following her and taking pictures of her at the voting location. Shang wanted to vote and leave the voting location as quickly as possible so as not to subject Fulecki to the hostility. Shang was asked if she knew whether Fulecki voted with the ballot from District 1 for the city of Deltona, as she did. Shang said that although they voted at the same time, and she voted with the District 1 ballot for the Deltona City Hall address, Fulecki voted with the correct District 3 ballot for their actual residence. When asked how that could happen, Shang said, "I had one of those stupid moments. It did not register in my head. It should have, but it didn't." Now, let's take a look at, let's see, so let's take, hang on. All right, so let's take a quick look at a video that was taken. Now, remember what she said, okay? Let's go back here real quick, and let's remember what she said. Shang, let's see here, indicated that during the 2018 election, it was an aggressive, unpleasant atmosphere. Critics of hers were following her and taking pictures of her at the voting location. Let's take a look.
For real? Oh. He was here mom there. Thank you. Aren't you a sweetheart?
You just assaulted me. I just got it on camera. That was a battery, Carol. I'm calling the VCSO back. That was battery.
What'd you do with that?
Huh?
What'd you do with that?
Gathering content for a story.
Well, can I tell you a story really quick? My daughter is 18. She's Logan.
Well, here.
She's right there, and she's voting for the first time, and I would love you to meet her.
Sure.
First time voter?
As you can clearly see in this video, I was the critic that she was referring to, that was taking pictures of her and following her. And as you'll notice, what really happened, now, do you see anybody else, or do you see pretty much an empty parking lot? I see a pretty much empty parking lot. I'm a witness that by this time of the day, the line was pretty much gone. Everybody had voted. Everybody was packing up. This was at the very end of the day prior to the polls closing. She gets out of her car. There is Fulecki standing there with the walker. Here's Jane standing here talking to Carol Sheehan. But you'll notice that I come around the corner and this Constitution-hating person comes up and punches me and gets my attention. So now I turn my attention to her. I follow her. And then somebody else gets my attention and wants me to interview their daughter who's voting for the first time. Now, the reason I'm showing this, tedsilberstein, this is for you, my friend. This is the evidence that you need to file a new charge on her for perjury during a sworn statement, giving false information during a sworn statement to law enforcement. I told you this video was coming, but you can see that my attention was taken away because somebody wanted me to interview their 18-year-old daughter who was voting for the first time. So she was never followed, and there was nobody in this parking lot. There were no critics of hers. There was nobody following her, nobody taking pictures. I was there shooting video, and you see that I literally shot less than 15 seconds worth of video. The point is, Ted, I hope you're watching this and you see this empty parking lot and that she lied to you. So, again, did anybody watching this see an aggressive, unpleasant atmosphere where critics, not critic, but critics of hers were following her and taking pictures of her at the voting location? Now, I don't know what she did as far, when she says wanted to vote and leave as quickly as possible. She very well may have done that. She may have hung out and talked to somebody. I don't know, because by that time, my attention was no longer on her, and I didn't see her leave. I have absolutely no idea what time she left. But again, she just, over and over again, sometimes you take things for granted. You sign things automatically. I don't sign things automatically. I know what I'm signing. I read what I'm signing. It was a stupid oversight on my part. I admitted it happened, and I should have changed it. I didn't. Stupid things happen. I'm not perfect. 6 felonies. 6 felonies. Those are not stupid things. The simple fact that she held her interview at the former mayor, John Mazarzik's little pet project museum, the Veterans Memorial, rather than in her office at City Hall. People, we don't need to be brain surgeons to figure out what's going on here. Okay? So, in conclusion, we're going to look at this one more time so that there is absolutely no mistake. Shang violated the below listed felony offenses. Count 1, count 2, count 3, count 4, Florida Statute 104.011, false swearing, submission of false voter registration information. Counts 5 and 6, Florida Statute 104.15, unqualified electors willfully voting. And this one that the statute of limitations had run out on. So we were really looking at potentially 7 felonies. And what does she get? She gets a deal. She gets a contract, a pretrial intervention contract. You be a good girl for 12 months and we won't prosecute you because, well, you're above the law, Jane. Now, if you're watching this and you've made it this far and you still do not believe that there are 2 sets of rules, then please stop this video and get off my channel. I do not want people like you on my channel. It is clear there are 2 sets of rules. And had this been any one of us, we would be facing tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and we would be facing up to 20 years in prison and $20,000 in fines. Somehow, Jane Shang is special. Or just another thought. This one, another hypothesis that makes a lot of sense. And again, my opinion, for what it's worth, I think Jane Shang's stock in trade is information. She knows how to gather and use information against people. She has got a history of retaliating against people. She has a history of using the sheriff's department that she signs a $12 million plus contract for as her own personal goon squad. And the sheriff is so emasculated. Mike Chitwood, yeah, you're so emasculated by Jane Shang, you let her get away with it. My theory is that Jane Shang is very good at gathering dirt on people. And then once she's got that dirt, she uses it to get her way. And she had dirt on somebody. And somebody went to this crooked and corrupt state attorney who gave her a pass. Now, again, if you don't like what you see here, it is your responsibility. Living in a constitutional republic, it is your responsibility to speak out. If you do not like what you see, now, if you're one of these people, like the woman that came up and punched me because I was recording Jane Shang and because I happen to love the Constitution and the rights that our forefathers codified, those people, I'm sure that they're very, very happy. I'm sure that there is one particular real estate agent who makes a lot of money off the city of Deltona who loves this deal. I'm sure there is one crazy, weird old man who goes up and just licks their boots at every commission meeting who loves this deal. People, these are the people that want to fundamentally change our country. These are the people that want to take away your rights. Okay? It's that simple. It's very plain and simple. These are the people who want to take away your rights. Those are the people who love the fact that Jane Shang got cut a break. If you're not one of them, if you are someone who believes in the Constitution, if you believe in the rule of law, if you believe that there is supposed to be one set of rules, one set of laws, and even perhaps that elected and even hired employees of the government should be held to a higher standard, it is your duty and responsibility to speak up. So, you need to call and let Christopher G. Walker, Assistant State Attorney, know that you don't appreciate his signature on this deal. You need to call R.J. Larizzar, State Attorney, and let him know you do not appreciate his name on this deal. So in the description below, I'm going to put a few email addresses. One is to the General Counsel at the Florida Department of State. A couple others will be individual attorneys with the Department of State. The attorneys that initially decided that there was merit and that the state attorney needed to investigate this. I'm also going to put the email for Ted Silberstein. I would recommend that if you've seen this and you believe that she is getting special treatment, that you believe that what you've seen here and other evidence proves that she has lied on her statement, her sworn statement, you need to email these people and let them know. You need to email them and let them know how you feel. Now, we know that the socialists and the communists out there, the people who want to fundamentally change our country, they are not going to make these phone calls. They are not going to send these emails. It is up to us, the patriots, those of us who maybe at one time we have sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but today's the day. Today's the day to defend and uphold the Constitution and let your voice be heard. Exercise your rights. If you do not exercise your rights, you will lose your rights. I'm going to leave on this empty parking lot where Jane Shang claimed there was an aggressive and hostile environment and that people, her critics, were following her and taking pictures. If you don't see that in this picture, by all means, send an email to Tedsilberstein of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and ask him to file charges for perjury. You saw it in her statement. That's what she claimed. Thank you.
All right, guys. Decided to go live instead of making a post. I'm here, just left the Clerk of the Court Felony Division along with the State Attorney's Office. And I wanted to give a little update about our City Manager, Jane Shang. Make a comment here. I don't want to get too far into it and then have to repeat myself. If anybody's watching, just make a comment here. I don't want to get too far into it and then have to repeat myself. Hi, Kurt. I was up here today. As some of you, if anybody's watching, just make a comment here. I don't want to get too far into it and then have to repeat myself. Hi, Kurt. I was up here today. As some of you have known, my uncle, who was, well, he wore many hats over the last 25 years with the volunteer police department out in Pennsylvania. He passed away, and I flew out there this weekend, and volunteer police department out in Pennsylvania. He passed away, and I flew out there this weekend, and I had to be back today for court. So I flew in. We got in about 2 a.m. this morning, and volunteer police department out in Pennsylvania. He passed away, and I flew out there this weekend, and I had to be back today for court. So I flew in. We got in about 2 a.m. this morning, and so while I was up here, I figured I took the whole day off anyhow. I'm gonna check in on our felon and see what the holdup is, why it's not on her public record yet. For most of you know, their false charges, the holdup is why it's not on her public record yet. For most of you know, their false charges against me got thrown out, and that hit my record within 3 days. I gave them a little bit of the holdup is why it's not on her public record yet. For most of you know, their false charges against me got thrown out, and that hit my record within 3 days. I gave them a little bit of leeway on the fact that, you know, Saturday was technically the third day, so I waited till today. And that's still probably not a lot of leeway, but I was going to already be here, so I figured I'd, you know, pop in one more time and just see, you know, a lot of leeway, but I was going to already be here, so I figured I'd, you know, pop in one more time and just see, you know, maybe when should I expect it? Is there a typical processing time? Like, what is their process on when a lot of leeway? But I was going to already be here, so I figured I'd, you know, pop in one more time and just see, you know, maybe when should I expect it? Is there a typical processing time? Like, what is their process on when it gets put into the system? And my first stop was at the Felony Division, the clerk's office. I figured the clerk could tell me that first. I had them look it up, and she said, sure enough, it's not in there. The clerk could tell me that first. I had them look it up, and she said, sure enough, it's not in there. And so I asked her typically what was the process. And she said, well, once the case is handed down to us, we input it. The clerk could tell me that first. I had them look it up, and she said, sure enough, it's not in there. And so I asked her typically what was the process. And she said, well, once the case is handed down to us, we input it in. So basically they're waiting for it to be inputted into the system. And I said, okay, well, who would be able to answer me, why hasn't it been inputted into the system yet? The deal was reached last week. And she'd be able to answer me, why hasn't it been inputted into the system yet? The deal was reached last week. And she said, well, I could go talk to the state attorney's office. So I said, okay, great. That was my next stop. So I went back upstairs. She'd be able to answer me, why hasn't it been inputted into the system yet? The deal was reached last week. And she said, well, I could go talk to the state attorney's office. So I said, okay, great. That was my next stop. So I went back upstairs, up to the 4th floor, and spoke to the nice lady behind the window. And she attempted to help me out. She looked up the case for me, and the expression on her face says it all. The case for me, and the expression on her face says it all. When whatever popped up on the screen, like I said, I can't see it, so she didn't have to call somebody over the case for me, and the expression on her face says it all. When whatever popped up on the screen, like I said, I can't see it, so she didn't have to call somebody over. They were discussing it, saying neither one of them had seen anything like that before. So I'm getting a real good feeling that I'm going to end up suing the state of Florida here shortly. I didn't want to have to go that route, but it does appear that real good feeling that I'm going to end up suing the state of Florida here shortly. I didn't want to have to go that route, but it does appear that might be the route that is going to be necessary for some clear discrimination. I did real good feeling that I'm going to end up suing the state of Florida here shortly. I didn't want to have to go that route, but it does appear that might be the route that is going to be necessary for some clear discrimination. I did agree to have her call in and look a little more into it. So she got on the phone with, I guess, I want to say his name was Chris, up at the office to find out, hey, what's going on with this case? And, I want to say his name was Chris, up at the office to find out, hey, what's going on with this case? And, why hasn't it been in the file yet? And whoever it was on the other end decided just to ask, I want to say his name was Chris, up at the office to find out, hey, what's going on with this case? And, why hasn't it been in the file yet? And whoever it was on the other end decided just to ask for my name, and then there was some more discussion, and then I was told that I should just leave my information, I would get a call back. So I asked her if there was a time frame, I should just leave my information, I would get a call back. So I asked her if there was a time frame I should expect a call before coming back up here, because I have obviously been told many a times I should be getting calls. I should just leave my information, I would get a call back. So I asked her if there was a time frame I should expect a call before coming back up here, because I have obviously been told many a times I should be getting calls. Heidi still haven't got that call from the insurance carrier, by the way. So I didn't want to just trust that, somebody someday and I should wait for another 2 or 3 weeks. And they could not give me that. And it's no fault of her own. She was very pleasant. Someday and I should wait for another 2 or 3 weeks. And they could not give me that. And it's no fault of her own. She was very pleasant. I was very pleasant with her. I even didn't record because I felt that at that point there was no reason to. Someday and I should wait for another 2 or 3 weeks. And they could not give me that. And it's no fault of her own. She was very pleasant. I was very pleasant with her. I even didn't record because I felt that at that point there was no reason to. I didn't feel she was being deceitful to me or anything like that. There was no reason for me to record our conversation. And she seemed just as shocked as the other lady in the office at whatever it was that popped. She seemed just as shocked as the other lady in the office at whatever it was that popped up on that screen. And it was definitely something they said neither of them had seen before. So guys, it does appear our city manager, she seemed just as shocked as the other lady in the office at whatever it was that popped up on that screen. And it was definitely something they said neither of them had seen before. So guys, it does appear our city manager got a little bit of favoritism, was not treated as any other resident and citizen would be treated. I am going to give it 3 days. And in 3 days, if I would be treated, I am going to give it 3 days. And in 3 days, if I do not receive a phone call with the timeline on which it will appear in her record, I will take another trip up here and would be treated. I am going to give it 3 days. And in 3 days, if I do not receive a phone call with the timeline on which it will appear in her record, I will take another trip up here, attempt it one more time, and I will have a suit in my hand should I not get any form of answer then. It's unfortunate I have to go this route, but it's important that everybody knows that we all have equal rights or then. It's unfortunate I have to go this route, but it's important that everybody knows that we all have equal rights. She should not get any type of privileges that anybody else would not be afforded. And that's what I'm set her then. It's unfortunate I have to go this route, but it's important that everybody knows that we all have equal rights. She should not get any type of privileges that anybody else would not be afforded. And that's what I'm set out to do, if anybody was wondering. So, Kurt, well, that's what they asked me. And I said, well, she would have been charged, but they decided to defer charging her if she she would have been charged, but they decided to defer charging her if she completes this. So it's, you know, I can't say I've ever heard of a case, and I hope people are researching. She would have been charged, but they decided to defer charging her if she completes this. So it's, you know, I can't say I've ever heard of a case, and I hope people are researching. When I get time, I'm going to research a little to find another case where somebody that's charged with 6 felonies and their breaches of public trust at that gets a deferred prosecution. Felonies and their breaches of public trust at that gets a deferred prosecution. It might exist. But I doubt on 6 counts. I really do. But I'd be interested in felonies and their breaches of public trust at that gets a deferred prosecution. It might exist, but I doubt on 6 counts. I really do. But I'd be interested to look into it. I think statistics should be on our side. I like to come with facts. So I can't say oversees her almost like a probation, so lost signal. I can't say oversees her almost like a probation, so lost signal for a second, guys. I doubt there's going to be any type of mugshot or anything that the rest of us. I can't say oversees her almost like a probation, so lost signal for a second, guys. I doubt there's going to be any type of mugshot or anything that the rest of us would have gotten. Something is going on, and it's not a typical thing. You could tell by their faces. You could hear it in what they were saying. And people, and let me tell by their faces. You could hear it in what they were saying. And people, and let me tell you, I know they've worked here for a while because they were there when I came up here last year and previous times that I've come up here. So by their faces, you could hear it in what they were saying. and people, and let me tell you, I know they've worked here for a while because they were there when I